and gentlemen, boys and girls, probably not a lot of boys and girls listening to this podcast, but welcome to the first ever video/audio podcast of Those Canadian Lads. Tonight, we talk about all the changes coming in the National Hockey League. We are currently doing our podcast during the Seattle Kraken expansion draft. Luke Prokop has come out. He's a prospect with the Nashville Predators. Awesome story. Awesome news story. We're going to touch on that tonight. Oh, Jeffrey, Adam Larsson, gone from the Edmonton Oilers. He signed with the Kraken today. That was a shock. Not shocked that he left the Oilers, but maybe shocked that he signed with the Seattle Kraken, our new Pacific Division rivals. And, of course, Mike Smith signing with the Edmonton Oilers for a 2-year contract at the age of 39. So that'll take him to he is 41. So, ladies and gentlemen, awesome. So excited tonight. Welcome, Jeffrey. How you doing?
Great. I can tell your excitement by the music choice that you threw out there.
I know. It was a stomp and clap. What was that thing? The stomp and clap? What was that? The guys who banged all the garbage cans and garbage can lids and things like that back in the day. And
Stomp?
Stomp! Yeah, Stomp. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. Just another Those Canadian Lads podcast. Looking forward to discussing what the Kraken are doing. Changes to the Oilers, obviously. And obviously some social change into the NHL dressing room. So definitely something to keep, something for us to touch on.
Yeah, no, for sure. Obviously, lots of changes. That's the title of the podcast. Changes in the National Hockey League. This is episode 33 of Those Canadian Lads podcast. We're calling it Hockey Chirps. So another Hockey Chirps episode of the pod. Very excited because obviously this is they call it the silly season, the off season, when all the money gets spent in sports.
Yeah, I've not heard it referred to as the silly season, but I will say, I don't know if you saw the Zach Hyman rumor, or maybe it's more than a rumor in regards to what the Oilers are thinking of signing him for in regards to term. And if they look at like an 8-year deal for that guy, I will call it the silly season, because that's insane for a 29-year-old, quote unquote, more of a power forward than a finesse guy. So,
yeah, I know it's interesting you say that. I was obviously following the Twitter today and seeing that Hyman was in town. And to be honest, I haven't really followed his career much, and had to ask a current Toronto Maple Leaf fan about what he's all about. And it sounds like he's not a grinder. He can score 20 plus goals a year, but also a guy who can go and get the puck right out of the corners and dig them out. But I don't know if that's an 8-year type, full-term contract deal, right? And it leaves a lot of holes in the Oiler lineup, right, with Larsson leaving. So now it's more important to see where the money gets spent across, forwards and defense going forward here into free agency and trade season. Because right now, I'm not happy to lose him. He was obviously he was one of my favorite players, but also a little concerned about what that makes the defense look like.
Yeah, it'll definitely be different, but yeah, maybe wrapping up the Zach Hyman stuff. I don't think anyone would argue that the Oilers do need an additional player in the top 6. Probably would need somebody a little bit tougher. It doesn't necessarily need to be on McDavid's line, but definitely somebody who's not one of the smaller guys. And Puljujärvi is not a small dude, and it's not like he doesn't use his body more for leverage, kind of like, I'm not going to say like Forsberg, because Forsberg's an elite Hall of Fame player and Puljujärvi is not, but he's not a mean guy by any measure. So maybe you do have to add some of that depth in there. Hyman might be that answer. Is just, once again, just kind of like when you look at a deal like what Lucic got 4 or 5 years ago, and do you really want to be paying that guy when his body could be breaking down? And it's one of those things that I'm like, immediately I thought, I'm like, I don't know how this is going to go. And yet, excuse me, obviously we do need to be concerned about what the defense is going to look like. Larsson is a giant hole. He played a very specific role when it came to the Oilers defense, and now there's real, like, Darnell's a tough guy, but at the same time he's more of a skilled guy. What are we gonna do to fill that role?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing here now, is that there's an empty seat kind of in that shutdown right D role, right? And you know, looking at the lineup, you know, what on the right side, you got Bouchard, you got Bear, and you got Slayer Cuckoo kind of in the background that could potentially play that role, but he's not to the same elite level that Adam Larsson was, right? This is again too, you know, we lost Taylor Hall straight up for Adam Larsson, so you know, again, now we just lost Adam Larsson for really nothing as well. So you know, it makes the offseason even more interesting. Obviously, the Keith deal, which I really liked, and I think it brings a lot of value to the team, more on the actual tangible side of the fence versus the money side, right? And that's kind of now even more highlighted because, you know, how do you go out and spend in all the areas that you want to? Do you now have to spend more? Do you have to now go maybe make a trade to replace that position, right? Do you now have to get rid of, let's say, a prospect or a almost proven guy like Ethan Bear? I'm okay with that. He just fires pucks up the middle of the ice. So I'm all for sending him down the road.
Let's keep judging him for one series of a NHL playoffs. So
that was one play. That was only one play.
Yeah. He's going to be in his third year. Plenty of time. But I don't believe he plays the style of game. I don't think he'll play the style of game that Larsson filled. So he doesn't necessarily fill that role. But I don't know, maybe there is a analytic thought process or anything where you don't need a guy like Larsson. Because let's face it, the puck wasn't really great on his stick. He was more of a stay-at-home, play-the-body guy. Like, you look at how many defensive zone starts he had during his time here at Edmonton. So, yeah, maybe it is a Bear steps up and a Bouchard fills behind him and everything works out fine. But as I said, you do need those veteran guys. And let's face it, the Oilers' defense, outside of Duncan Keith, is relatively young.
So that's the other key factor is obviously the youth. But that being said now, with him out the door, do you think Tyson Barrie gets signed? Frank Saravalli came out and said, yeah, likelihood of Larsson signing happening, not going to happen. Now they've amped up the conversations with Tyson Barrie. Does that impact now Bouchard's potential play with the Oilers?
Well, yeah, I think it would. Obviously, those two players will probably try to fill the same role. So you might not want two of them behind there. Now, I would say that in pressure situations, you probably don't want Bouchard quarterbacking your power play and eating up 22 minutes a game. So, he's not a like-for-like change on it. I still, like, obviously, I don't know, I'm not an insider, but I do think Barrie is going to get a few.
You're not an insider?
No. Okay. But I do think Barry's going to still get some interest from the league in regards to where you could potentially end up going. I think somebody will probably overpay for him. Probably will be the Oilers because that seems to be the way we do things. But yeah, I don't know. As I said, if for the right deal, I wouldn't mind seeing him come back. But I still, once again, you still have a gaping hole in regards to who's going to play that defensive style role. So switching gears but staying on Larsson. Obviously, the rumors were that the Oilers were offering relatively the same deal as Seattle. He chose Seattle, which good for him. That's his prerogative as a restricted free agent.
What?
But,
good for him? No. No.
Why?
Okay, so why good for him?
I like whenever any person chooses their own path they want to go on. He has decided to go with a brand new team, make a thing. I was trying to think about reasons that he probably would want to leave the team or the city, and it does seem like the players like him a great deal. I'm not saying the Oilers have treated him poorly by any measure, because how the hell would I know? But I had totally forgotten or didn't realize that his father, when he did die, died here in Edmonton. And maybe it's one of those situations where that thought and that pain still stays with him when he thinks about the city, thinks about going to the rink, and maybe it's just one of those I need a fresh start situation. But I will say, though, too, that if it's not one of those situations, and during negotiations, I'm sure the team and the player and the agent knew what they were kind of getting across. If he was saying things to the team like, I don't like how I'm treated here, I don't think you treat the players well, you don't make up for some of the things that the city doesn't offer, they better look in the mirror and think about correcting those things.
I'm going to go on the other side. I'm glad you went down this road, because obviously he's left because something negative has impacted him, because you just don't leave just to leave, right? Like, you're here, you're part of the leadership team as assistant captain of the Edmonton Oilers. Obviously something negative has impacted his decision in Edmonton to make him leave. I'm going to blame the psycho Twitter fans on Twitter that are so negative that they criticized everything that's happened in Edmonton over the last number of years, to a point where it's actually like disgusting. Every single thing that has happened here in social media, it's just such an overcritical fan base, right? And that's the pod calling the kettle black here, because on those Canadian Lads podcast, we're throwing our opinion out the door as well. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I think you're maybe onto something there. Maybe there is something there with his father passing away. I tend to think that he likes the finer things in life. If you follow him on Instagram, he likes the champagne and walking around Venice. I think he was in Europe with Draisaitl, living the high life. So maybe he just wants to get to the States and enjoy some of the finer things that the United States of America has to offer. Plus, Seattle, one of my favorite, maybe the favorite U.S. city I have. I decided to wear Seattle Kraken colors for the podcast tonight. Wore this shirt to work, just excited for the day. Never going to throw on another opposing team's jersey, but I was a little disappointed when I found out Larsson signed. So, maybe not the best choice of colors today for the day, but good for him, I guess. You're right. Good for him. He was a good Oiler. He'll go down in history of being part of the Taylor Hall trade, and let's just hope we wipe them off the face of the earth every time we play them. So.
Well, it's not like Taylor Hall's still in New Jersey either. He's bouncing around onto going to be his fifth team, I suppose, if he doesn't stay in Boston, or fourth team if he doesn't stay in Boston. But I will say, Adam Larsson, I know this is probably a view into my life a little bit. I don't follow a lot of people. I do actually follow him, but he never posts anything. I think his girlfriend posts a ton of stuff, and that's where my wife tracked down that he was hanging out with Draisaitl in Spain or Greece or something. I don't think Adam Larsson's affected by social media. I think he's an old school guy to a certain extent. I don't think he reads anything. I don't just look at how he interacts with the general media and the population. I don't think he cares at all. So I don't know if it's a negative fan base thing. Now I will say Oilers fans are terrible for it, because let's face it, that's what Edmonton is. But I don't know if that would have played a factor. But hell, don't know the guy, so.
Do we suck as a fan base? Are we so negative that, do we almost need to win just to kind of get ourselves, out of a shitty mood? What do you think it is? Because obviously the fan base that's vocal now is probably 40 and under. And most people like yourself, you said it on here multiple times that you didn't really experience the glory years of the Edmonton Oilers. So your big memories are coming from the Doug Waite, the 98, 97 years, the 2006 playoff run, which we experienced together, and then sadly,
yeah, you make it sound like it was a funeral march or something at the end.
It was, man. It was the worst day ever.
It was.
Worst.
It's not. Yeah, as I said, my experience with the team is not the glory. As I said, I was only 8 when they won their last cup, so it's not like I remember a ton of it or anything like that. But I don't know. I think the fan base. You know what? We're not a great fan base in regards to traveling. It was famously said in the first Vegas season that the only fans that really pissed off the Knights fans were the Oilers fans that apparently showed up and got tanked up, which. Who am I to judge? I don't get tanked up at games.
You've never fell over row of seats at Rogers Place?
No, never banged my head into a chair. But I don't know. Yeah, the fan base maybe needs to get low. But I will say too that it's always the joke made of Boston sports fans is that they live and die with the team a little bit too much. And it's just like, it's great to be passionate about your team, but maybe a bit hypocritical for me to say, but you don't need to ruin your entire night because the team lost. You can move on at a certain point.
You know what it is, though, too? Like, if you talk to Brad and Jeff, back 10 years ago, maybe we're not talking like this. I think a lot of this has to do with, obviously, two very mature individuals like ourselves doing those Canadian Lads podcast. But, I think maybe maturity comes into play a little bit, and just realizing that it's not a life and death situation. But that being said, you and I, we love this team. We spend money on this team. We buy jerseys, tickets. We listen to Oilers Now and all the different Oiler media sites, things like that. Like, we follow this team. We're fans. Are we tier 1 fans? Are we tier 2 fans? I don't know.
What? Who has a ranking system for the fans?
Kevin Lowe, man. Kevin Lowe. Don't you remember?
Yeah, kind of. I think it was just people who paid was his thing, wasn't it?
I think so. He's like, you motherfuckers, you paid for your tickets? I'm on your side. Use the don't. I'm not on your side.
Yeah.
Use the don't.
Yeah, Kevin Lowe wasn't the smartest guy when it came to interacting with the fan base, but excuse me. Anyways, obviously tonight is a big night in the NHL. The Kraken are choosing their team. As we discussed, they took their Oilers pick and signed them up for a 4-year deal. You would propose that we do a live show in regards to this and do live reactions, and I admitted that...
Yeah, well, we didn't do that. So.
No, because I can't talk for an hour and a half about players I've never seen play, so...
Yeah, I didn't realize the shit would still be going on, so that's kind of part of the problem, too. It's like every 2 minutes I get a text here, or tweet, it's like, oh, the Seattle Kraken have signed Jordan Eberle. Ebbs going to the Kraken, coming back to the Pacific Division.
So that's what I was going to say. Maybe we should focus on a few key players, because let's face it, the team makeup very well might change. Obviously, the team is able to trade away these players if they choose to. I'll be honest, I was a little frustrated earlier in the week because I found it incredibly difficult to find the protected list for every team. It was just nobody seemed to have it. I had to go looking for it. Eventually, I just gave up, and I was like, "Well, fuck it. I'll see what Seattle picks on Wednesday. It doesn't really matter, and I'm not going to sit and watch it either." So, but you brought up Eberle, and that was one of the ones where I'm like, don't get me wrong, I don't know the Islanders inside out, but I was shocked that Jordan Eberle would be available.
He had a great playoff run.
Yeah,
he played so good in the playoffs. I watched a lot of their games. He was on fire. That's a surprising one. But then again, on their forward and their protected list, they had to protect so many players, and it's not like Jordan's up there, or he's got a few years on him now, right? He's getting up there in age, and maybe it's kind of more of a romantic thought process with Ebbs, with the Ebbs Hall, Nuge kind of Magnus PRV Svensson too.
Oh yeah.
The hope line.
There's a name that everyone's forgotten.
Yeah, no, exactly. I said it wrong, so that's how awesome that was. But I've got the list of players that. And here's the thing: it's like, this whole insider shit's kind of garbage. If you think about it, right? Like, the names were breaking all day long. It's like Frank Seravalli and Elliot Friedman are just like bing, 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 bing. Like, this player's signing, this player's signing. It's like, the NHL only gets windows of opportunity to have, I'm not going to say a national stage, but they are on ESPN tonight, right? So it's their coming out party on ESPN, and it's an opportunity for them to, sell the game. I got another theory on selling the game that I'm going to touch on here in a few minutes, but if you're looking at the list, the first name that really jumped out at me was Jordan Eberle. Other than Larsson, who signed this morning when the news broke. Early in the morning while I was driving to work, and almost threw up in my coffee. That was,
might be a little melodramatic, but yeah,
a little. So glad we're doing video. We can see all of our facial reactions. It's all so good. So good.
Yeah, I'm curious how this is going to turn out because we'll see how it looks, but you're just blurry.
What?
Yeah, you're just blurry. I don't know how I'm looking on it, so.
Well, I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not. A new camera and all that.
Yeah, in all honesty today, like, I was busy today. Unfortunately, my employer does pay me to pay attention on occasion, so I didn't see any of the...
I was working too!
I'm just saying, I didn't have time to look at anything, so the only thing I saw was Larsson. The only thing I saw was the Larsson trade, and then, like, I came home and then finally started looking at some of the stuff while I was making dinner, but yeah, the Eberle one I thought that's a good pick, personally. Like, as I said, maybe it's a homer pick because he's a former Oiler. Alexiak out of Dallas, him and Larsson being put on the team together, I thought that was a good move as well.
Their defense actually is looking, quite strong if you think about it. You got Giordano from the Flames. Mm-hmm. That was a no-brainer. We knew he was
Yeah. I think everyone in Calgary and Edmonton knew that, or everyone across the league knew that. So
yeah, Jamie Oleksiak, he was a sought-after free agent as well, and Adam Larsson, right? So those players alone, and then if you think about like Vince Dunn, he's no slouch. He's no slouch out there. So with the Blues, so. It's their defense actually shores up a little bit. It's really in their forward depth that they're not. These aren't the sexy moves of the Vegas Golden Knights of a few years ago. This is not even close.
But okay, to that question though, like, and don't get me wrong, it's impossible for me to watch the entire league. So, but I remember when they did the Vegas team draft, and I was like, I wasn't impressed with anybody. The only name that I was like, oh, Fleury, that's cool that he's restarting his life in Vegas, but I didn't think the team looked impressive by any measure. And nobody was picking. No, it's not like all of a sudden Vegas, the gambling entity, all of a sudden said, "Whoa, look at this roster. It's totally going to the Stanley Cup final," and they made their odd. Like, it was a long shot bet. So it's not like the league all of a sudden everyone thought that it was a good looking team. Like, it's kind of like this. I nobody can see what I'm pointing at. I'm pointing at my screen, but I'm like, you don't know how these guys are going to gel and what's going to happen. The only other one I think of though is, and I wouldn't be surprised if they spin him off, but that Yanni Gourde. Sorry. I know everyone likes him because of the playoffs, but he's a third line center, and I could see him probably getting more playing time. And who's to say what he's going to look like? But as I said, I didn't think the Vegas team looked good. So
isn't a gourd like a pumpkin?
Yeah, it is. It's like a pumpkin melon or something.
And what comes to your mind when you hear the word Zach
Hyman? Well, obviously female anatomy, but yes.
It does. And that's the 12-year-old boy still inside. Holy Jesus, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Don't mute your mic or anything.
Oh yeah, I forgot that there's a button for that. I can, but I got like my mouse transversing over 3 screens here while I'm attempting to know what I'm talking about. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It will be interesting though. And I think that I think the anomaly of what happened in Vegas and just how successful that club's been since it came into the NHL. I don't think that's likely to happen in Seattle, but that's mainly just because it's an odds thing in regards to how often can an expansion team become a dominant force immediately.
Yeah, no, for sure. Kind of going back on selling the game, obviously ESPN is the new broadcast partner with TNT in the States. And that also ties into the story that I kind of have about selling the sport. But took the kids to Space Jam over Monday night.
How was that?
Let me tell you. So Space Jam, the new Space Jam with LeBron James. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, it is meant for kids, but it's garbage. That is the biggest pile of garbage I've ever watched. Now, 41-year-old Brad thinks it's garbage. 6-year-old daughter thinks that's the greatest movie she's ever seen in her life. And her favorite basketball player in the world now is LeBron James. Also Hudson, my son. Hudson, who's your favorite character of the movie? Not Bugs Bunny, not Daffy Duck, not Porky Pig. It's LeBron James.
Is Porky Pig anyone's favorite tune or character in anything?
I would love to. Yeah, that would be a great poll question. Do you even like Porky Pig?
Nobody likes.
You could pick a Looney. Yeah, we should put a Looney Tunes poll. I'll do that on the Instagram. We'll do a Looney Tunes poll and be like, "Hey, Space Jam. Bugs Bunny. Yeah, no, Daffy Duck. You know who is awesome? Wile E. Coyote. The best scene in the whole movie is Wile E. Coyote in the Roadrunner. It's awesome.
I'll have to trust you on that because the likelihood of me seeing that movie is next to nil. So, but I will say in defense of LeBron doing Space Jam in the new one, I rewatched the Michael Jordan one probably sometime during the pandemic here because I had the free time, and obviously I knew it wasn't going to be good. But even from a nostalgia standpoint, I was like, this is an awful movie. And I loved MJ growing up, and I still do, but holy man, that was terrible.
The premise of the whole kind of theory is just garbage, right? The Goon Squad! Yeah. It sucks. So adults that are watching or listening to this podcast, don't go see Space Jam. But take your kids, because... they'll love it, and they'll start wanting to either play basketball or, it's definitely a way to sell the sport. But they had Ernie Jackson from TNT doing the announcing. It was actually pretty good. If there was a highlight of the movie, it was that. So, and Michael B. Jordan was in it. So
hey, there you go.
You kind of see where they were going. I'm going to ruin it. Spoiler alert. Turn it off if you don't want to hear it. But they're losing at halftime. Surprise. The Goon Squad's winning by like 1,000 points. The Sylvester comes in. He's like, I found Michael Jordan. And they play the Alan Parsons Project music. The music the Chicago Bulls would come in, and you see the Air Jordans walking in, and it's like, that's not Michael Jordan. That's Michael B. Jordan. And it's just like, this shit writes itself.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I went back, going back to the original one. That soundtrack's still good. I know nobody likes R. Kelly anymore because of his extracurricular activities, but I Believe I Can Fly is a fantastic song. And whatever the
He pee on people?
Yeah, he pees on little girls. He's a stand-up human being. But I will say that too, like, I can always go back and listen to I think it's called the Monstars Anthem, with like Be Real, Busta Rhymes, Method Man. That is a fantastic song. That's one of my, that's in the gym music. I love it. So.
Throw it on the playlist. I like it.
Yeah. So, but
heavy beat.
But to your point about the marketability of, throwing in NBA superstar, like, don't get me wrong, like, everyone on the planet knows who LeBron James is, but obviously you expose children to this new, hey, look at the players from this sport. Hey, isn't this cool to watch cartoons do this? And is it gonna turn your kids into basketball players?
I don't know about that, because I'm not vertically
I've also seen you shoot, so
it's a straight just bang in all the time, nothing but backboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not gonna be basketball players, though. My son, while we were driving home, obviously Bugs did have some sort of, effect on him. He's like, Dad, I want some carrots. So the movie, not only did he just pound a bag of peanut M&Ms, he now wants some carrots because Bugs Bunny is pounding carrots. So, thanks, Space Jam.
Oh, that's not a bad thing for him to get hooked on. Maybe don't show him like a Narcos show or anything right now, because
Pablo Escobar.
Yeah, he's highly susceptible apparently. But hey, yeah, good.
Oh man, yeah. There's a few movies that he's just not allowed. Donnie Darko is one of them, and obviously that's just an ugly movie. So
yeah, I'm not going to suggest you show your son Donnie Darko at this age. You can find that actually, that movie won't be in his repertoire when he's in high school or anything. So,
though I did start watching the other night Wayne's World, and my daughter happened to be sitting there watching it, and she's only 6, and she really liked the movie. She was really getting into it, but they're not picking up on a lot of the adults themes like swing and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, and then the Uber Eats commercial came on with old Wayne Campbell, and she's like, "Dad, those are the guys from the movie," and I'm like, "Yeah, man, that's Wayne's World. Don't you know who Wayne's World is?" But she doesn't.
Why would she?
She does. Well, because she's 6 years old. She didn't grow up in the 90s.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that was a sketch from like 91, 92. A movie probably came out shortly thereafter. So
yeah, actually, there's been a few instances recently. I was like, man, I'm feeling old. Not only the gray hair, but took my nephew go-karting the other day, and we went to Drive in West Edmonton Mall. Fantastic go-karts. Like, they go like piss. But hit the go-karts, and the girl comes up to the starting gate, and she's like, "Yeah, are you excited? You've been here before?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I used to come here, back in the day when it was fast track." And she's like, "What's fast track?" I'm like, "Oh, there was like gas-powered go-karts here." And, like 1998, 99, 2000. She's like, "Oh, I was born in 2002. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm old." So,
well, it's like, I don't know. I don't get hung up on my age, but it's just like the alternative is you die. So it's just like, of course you're going to meet people younger than you. The only time I ever get kind of weirded out is when I'm driving and I look over and I see what looks like a child to me piloting an automobile on the Henday, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like,
just holding on.
I was like, that child is absconded with their parents' vehicle.
Well, before we kind of move on into more serious topics, there is something that we're going to have to do on the podcast and kind of discuss our history with this movie. And I didn't realize this movie was coming out again, but there is a new Jackass movie coming out, Jeff. So, future podcast review of we could do the whole anthology of Jackass.
Actually, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Yeah, that was a bonding experience for when you and I met in college. I think I'm gonna see the fourth one no matter what. I can't believe most of those guys are still alive. I think we've already joked that it's obviously not, but
a few of them aren't.
Well, one of them's not, and then one's not allowed. Yeah, one of them's not allowed to be on set. But
does he have a restraining order or something? Or?
Yeah, Bam's not wasn't allowed to be anywhere near it because he can't stay clean, I guess. So too bad for Bam. But no, as I said, like that's one of the things I always ask my brother-in-law, because Jeff and I used to watch those movies all the time if the girls were out going out for dinner or something like that. And I'm like, when are we showing this to your son? And he's like, not yet. I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, this is what I want. I want to see his reaction to Jackass.
It's funny you say that. I had that exact same thought. Obviously, an 8-year-old is not going to be watching Jackass. But he will be watching it one of these days. Maybe in 5 years. I'd say 5 years. 13? Yeah.
Yeah, you might want to wait till he broaches in that 14, 15 range. I think I got a few more years before my nephew's able to, but I do want to see his reaction to it, because it is great when you see their sense of humor kind of evolving into something that's similar to what I would have found funny, and that's right around the corner for this kid, so it's going to be good. So,
it's about influencing, like how I brainwash my children to follow the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We taught Mila a knock-knock joke the other day. She thinks it's hilarious. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Leon.
Leon who?
Leon Draisaitl.
What?
That's the joke. She loves it.
Yeah, I think you have a fake applause button on your thing now. You should probably throw that in there for that one. That was.
I tried doing it.
That was awful. It's awful. All right.
Oh, this is why it didn't work. Wait. Let's do this. Yes. That's a terrible joke, but a 6-year-old little girl loves it.
It's fine that a 6-year-old likes it.
It's not Bill Burr.
No.
I don't know what you're expecting.
I wasn't expecting much, but it's not even a punchline.
No, it's just the guy's name.
Yeah, it's just the guy's name. It could be anyone. All right. Let's switch gears slightly before we wrap up here. So obviously Luke Prokop, makes huge news, history-changing event in the world of the NHL and, quite frankly, professional sports, and comes out as a homosexual player. Obviously, this is in today's day and age, I would have hoped that my age, that in 2021, that this wouldn't have been news, and we wouldn't have cared. But unfortunately, we're not quite there yet, and it is still news when a 19-year-old player who's trying to break into a professional sporting league announces that he is gay. I applaud the young man, an Edmonton-born kid. Obviously, I'm going to root for him no matter what when it comes to that type of stuff. But, it took a lot of guts for him to come forward on this. And he's, as I said, he's really not at that age where you think about yourself at 19, where you're kind of insecure already. You're unsure of the moves you're making. And, this kid took a huge step and announced to the world who he is. So, Brad, what are some of your thoughts on what Luke has done here?
Well, first of all, with what he's done here is just taking, the conversation to a new level. I think it's not only fantastic, it's about damn time that, something like this has happened, and he is a trailblazer now in professional sports. The other gentleman who came out was Carl Nassib from the New Orleans Saints. The Oakland Raiders.
Oakland Raiders.
He used to play with your football club.
Yes.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're seeing professional athletes come out. Not that they have to, but they're obviously trying to bring awareness and be leaders in their community, right? So, I was quite moved actually by the news that came out, and sincerely that I thought about not only kids that I knew when I was growing up that obviously were dealing with their own sexuality and how they were going to address that, and then playing sports and all the little different encompassing things that come into play. Like obviously he didn't have anybody to go to or think about or align himself with as someone who was wanting to get into professional athletics and become an athlete. And he's obviously being a trailblazer, and he's a significant prospect for the Nashville Predators. He will potentially make the National Hockey League. He's a goal-driven kid, and I think it's about damn time, and it's actually something pretty special to happen in the sport of hockey, but also in society. So that's kind of my initial take on it, right?
Yeah, I think when it came out, one of the things I thought of, and I thought about, obviously it is a sports-related story, so I was thinking about the teams I played on, and I didn't play hockey. So, I wanted to defer to you in regards to the hockey dressing room and the culture in there at a certain point here. But, I played soccer, basketball, a little bit of fighting and stuff like that. But
you what, Fight Clubs?
Yeah, like Fight Club. Yeah, that was pretty much it. But I don't remember there being much of a culture of homophobia on the sports teams or during when I went to school. Like, obviously there was immature kids, and like I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, I always said the right thing. I know I used gay as slander. I'm more like that old adage, like, I don't mean gay in a bad way. I mean as in lame, which is, your stupid kid attitude to have about it. And as I said, I'm sure there's people, and I know there's people that were homosexuals who heard me, and they're my friends, and I offended them with it. And, it's something I wish I'd never done, but obviously you grow as a person when it comes to this type of stuff. But, it's one of those situations where because I'm not of that community, and quite frankly, my community, if I don't like identity politics per se, but obviously I am just a middle-aged white guy. I don't have a lot of things. Yeah, I don't have a lot of things.
And people will be able to see it now because there's a video.
Yes. But it's one of those things where I didn't really have to deal with something. Nobody identified me as something. It was just, there's another dude on the street, and that's what it was. So to me, it seems like, well, it's a shame that we have to talk about this, that this is a news story in 2021. But for people who identify in those communities, maybe it is a big thing. Maybe it is something that because I'm not part of it, I just don't get it to a certain extent. So because of that, I am glad that these stories are still kind of coming out. And it can be a refresher for somebody like myself who goes, okay, well, I didn't think that was a big deal, but obviously it is, and I'm glad that somebody's doing this in a positive sense. Because let's face it, like, it's as I said, it's 2021. I didn't think it was going to be a thing anymore, but I'm glad for somebody like Luke and Carl to come out and, you know, bring that to the front line.
You know what I thought was really cool was kind of the coordinated response. Obviously, he had this planned for a while. He was on multiple hockey media sites, things like that, right? It was coordinated. He came out and did it in a way to make sure it had the maximum amount of exposure in regards to getting the message out and getting his story out. And again, we sit there and say, yeah, it's 2021. You know, do we need to hear, you know, this kind of stuff anymore? You know, I think people are very open to everything now. I think we're in a really cool age, you know, in regards to what we're doing these days. But at the end of the day, I think it's a really, you know, special thing. I think about my kids, you know, having to grow up feeling like an outcast or feeling, you know, like they can't be who they want to be. And, you know, that's changed me in a lot of ways as a person. And, yeah, I think, it's good, which is awesome.
So when you were, because as I said, you actually came up as a hockey player. What
can you tell?
Yeah.
Can you tell? Do I look? No.
What?
I wasn't very good, first of all. So, but I did play.
But you did play. You played for quite a while, and then you played in men's league as well. So you're obviously able to hold your own. But did you find that the dressing room was an environment where, if you were somebody who was homosexual or somebody who was, you know, something else, did you find that those environments were possibly menacing to those type of people?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think, you know, growing up, and maybe it's not for everybody. Maybe there was a lot of players who are listening today, you know, people that played hockey or listening to the podcast today or watching the podcast would say, no, that's Brad, you know, I think my dressing room would have been accepting, but I don't think it was acceptable to talk about that in that age, and homophobia was running rampant, you know, in a lot of ways, and you know, it just wasn't culturally acceptable, unfortunately, which is it's terrible. And yeah, to kind of answer your question, no, it wouldn't have been good, and we're in a lot better spot now moving forward, right? Because think about too, like, all the kids who, you know, now have who didn't have a Luke Prokop to look up to, and kind of say, hey, I want to be like Luke, and I want to play sports, and I want to be a professional athlete, or anything in life, whatever. But, you know, hockey specifically, you know, that road is now set for them, and yeah, and it was a free for all, man. They're cage rages. I don't know if you've heard of those. Is where you put your gear on and your helmet and your gloves, and you bam each other in the face as hard as you can, and like a boxing match. Like, that's fighting.
Yeah, that's fighting. Yeah.
Not us country club kids there on the West End. You know, just us Northsiders playing cage rage in the.
I didn't grow up at the country club, J.A.
You knew people.
I knew a kid from the country club. I rode my bike into that neighborhood.
Hey, what are you doing in here? No, but that being said, no, it wasn't very acceptable. And, you know, I think I was mentioning before, you know, I knew a kid who came out eventually, and he played hockey with us, and yeah, I hope he didn't have a rough go, because I'm sure there's a lot of kids that have, and you know, again, it could create the next superstar, you know, somebody who continues to play the sport and doesn't stop too, right? A kid who's like feels uncomfortable and says, I don't want to play a sport because of the culture. This just, again, increases the opportunity to, you know, potentially, you know, create the next Connor McDavid. You never know, right? Somebody who's going to play the sport and be elite at it, right? So, you know, that's another, you know, huge benefit of this, right? So,
well, I think for myself, one of the things I think of, as I said, I find it unfortunate that in 2021 that this is still what we need to discuss. I think one of the things I do hope for is that for individuals like Luke and people who will follow him and Carl Nassib, that because of them, you know, I'm not going to say blazing the trail, but yeah, effectively setting the stage for where this doesn't need to become a story in the future. And I don't know if that's in 10 years. I don't know if it's in 50 years. I don't know if it's next year. I would hope that it's as soon as possible. But where we don't care about the identification of these individuals and we just see somebody like Luke as, hey, this was a junior hockey player who made it into the NHL, had a great career, made his life easier because he excelled in the sport, and we didn't care about anything else. But unfortunately, I think it's going to be guys like Luke Prokop and Carl Nassib who come out, you know, show who they are, and they'll set that stage so this doesn't have to happen in the future to kids. It won't even be a topic of conversation. So I really hope that that's the future for that. And, you know, I applaud Luke for his bravery and what he's going to do going forward. And, you know, as I said, like in today's day and age, for the most part, we're opening up in regards to that type of stuff. Those thoughts are dying off. You know, people like yourself and I, we're not in that last bastion of people who really get concerned about that type of stuff as a generality. It's our predecessors. So hopefully it's one of those situations where it's just like, all right, we don't have to worry about this any forward, but good work, young man. So
it's those damn baby boomers you got to worry about.
Oh, it's boomers. It's one of those things that, like I mentioned it earlier. I didn't think my casualness and the casual language I use. Now I offend and alienate people all the time. I had to deal with alienating somebody 2 weeks ago, but I will say,
was it on the podcast?
No, it was in a family setting, so that's even better. So,
ooh.
But
tell
no, I'm not going to. But I will say that it is one of those situations with the casualness of this type of language. It does affect people in a negative sense, and it's not something that we need to do. So, that's it. Good for Luke.
Applaud Luke.
Applaud Luke.
Applaud Luke. You know what, Jeff? You know, before we shut down the podcast tonight, obviously one last thing. Mike Smith signing for 2 years with the mighty Oil. What's your thoughts on that quick signing today?
He's $2 million, 2 years. Like it's, you know, hopefully it allows them to set the table to bring in maybe somebody like Skinner, somebody that they can groom, or you know they go find somebody on the open market, and Mike Smith can be a mentor / backup for that individual at some point or another. But quite frankly, I've said it plenty of times on this podcast, Mike Smith played incredible last year, and I say that as somebody who does not like I don't like Mike Smith. I think he's reckless. I hate when he leaves the net, drives me up the wall. But I as I said, I think he earned the right for the next contract. And I think the Oilers would have been stupid to allow him to walk. So I think it's a good signing.
What I love about Mike Smith, he's a badass mother effer, first of all. He played well this year, but he brought leadership to the room, right? Again, something that's lacking. I truly hope that there's no leadership issue. Man, you've drank a lot during this podcast.
I drink a lot of fluids.
You're parched.
Yeah, I drink a lot of fluids.
We're actually got like a video record of it now. It's awesome.
Yeah, this is pretty much what I drink every podcast, like a glass of water and something else. But yeah, go.
Sorry, the video watcher, obviously you've seen that. Dear listener who's listening, Jeff is drinking a lot of water today. And Sprite. Pounding the Sprite. I like it.
One Sprite.
Mini can.
No, it's a regular size. 0.
You're treating yourself. Oh, you got big hands.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Anyways, you're talking about Mike Smith.
Yeah, Mike Smith. You just distracted me. I was like, fuck, that's a lot of water you're drinking, right? But and he taking another one drink. Jesus, it's like every time I say it, just is gonna start drinking it. But anyways, yeah, Mike Smith, good signing. We were expecting that he was going to sign anyway. Would love to get rid of Koskinen, but we're going to have to probably wait another year for that. But I really hope this team, starts turning the corner. The Larsson thing today is concerning, but Oiler fan, don't jump off the bridge. I'm speaking directly to you, Oiler fan at Twitter. Don't jump off the high-level bridge. Uncle Kenny's going to, help us out. He's gonna sign some players. He's got some holes to fill. He's got some money to spend. He's not going to spend it. He's gonna go out and get some players. So everybody, calm your shit, calm down. We're not firing Ken Holland. He knows more about hockey than any of us, especially us on those Canadian Lads podcasts. But just shut up, give your thumbs a rest, and take it easy.
There you go.
That's right.
Is that your parting shot for tonight?
First of all, I'm gonna play some music. Gotta play some music, Jeff. We got that option now. We can hear the music playing. It's not going in post anymore. So, that being said, what are your parting thoughts?
My parting thoughts are, this is very loud music, but my parting thoughts are nothing to do with the Oilers. Hey, that's a lot better, actually. Before jumping on the podcast here, I jumped onto Sportsnet and TSN to see because I had to see the Kraken roster if we're going to talk about it at some point or another. And I was super impressed to see Seattle Supersonic legends Gary Payton and Sean Kemp helping announce the team. I love the glove. Gary Payton's a fantastic, one of my favorite basketball players of all time. Guarded MJ like the best of them. But holy hell, Sean Kemp got fat. That dude is not taking care of himself, and I was shocked to see that. So, Sean, take care of yourself, buddy. Go hit a treadmill, okay?
Call me up. I got some options for you for some dieting options if you want. Yeah, not right now, though. I'm going on holidays. So, that being said, dear listener, we'll probably take a little break, holiday time season. We're going to come back strong, though, and give you episode 34 as soon as possible.
The music restarts.
It's on a loop.
All right.
Just keep talking until the music stops. We don't have to do that.
No.
But Jeffrey, it's been a pleasure. Looking forward to episode 34. Dear listener, thank you for listening to episode 33. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks again for listening to Those Canadian Lads podcast. Give us a follow on social media. We're on the Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you like what you heard, give us a follow and share it with your friends. Thanks again, and have a great night.